It is podcasting time. Glenn Powers here from PowerWorks Garage. Hold on, we're in PowerWorks Garage, so I'll fix that right away. And we're talking cars. It is the PowerWorks Podcast. If you're listening on the radio at 100.3, hello. Welcome to the podcast. And by all means, fire through comments however you're getting this show, whether you're watching it, whether you're listening to it. Send us a WhatsApp. Send us a comment. Love us. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a thumbs down. We don't mind. We want all interaction. And what we do is we try to demystify the automotive industry for you, from getting your car fixed to understanding what's going on in the market. A little bit of everything for everyone. As I say to people, this is essentially a 101 class that every high school student should be taking so they don't get ripped off when they go to the garage.
Every high school student. High school students nowadays are not buying cars, though, are they? Or not aspiring to buy cars.
Forget about buying cars. They don't take the basic life skills anymore. And I'm dating myself here. When I was in high school, we still had typing classes.
Nice.
We still had a home economics class, which is basically learn how to cook.
Cooking and sewing, yeah, we had
cooking and sewing.
Yeah.
We had a machine shop, we had a woodworking shop, we had an electrical shop, and we had an auto shop, all in the school, where some students were going trades, some students weren't, but everybody could take those courses. And why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
like seriously, why wouldn't you? Life skills. I don't think our students are getting them anymore.
The issue is things have changed too much.
Yeah.
Changed too fast. You know, like my granddad's garage was, if anything broke in the house, even if something wasn't broke in the house, he was just thinking it might break soon. He'd just take it apart in the garage.
Yeah.
Like toasters, kettles, microwaves, VHS players.
Yeah. Everything.
TVs just apart in the garage. And then he'd like scour car boots. And then 6 years later at a car boot sale,
he'd find the tube for that old RCA.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And he'd be like, I can fix that now. Yeah, but we've got a flat screen. What are you doing?
But it's people today, and it's sad to say we've got a generation of kids who are going through school right now whose parents didn't have to cook.
No.
They don't know the basics of cookery. They have no clue.
No.
And now their kids don't, and
hey, we're
doomed.
We're doing this from the UAE, right?
Yeah.
And every single person must know or themselves on a meal plan.
Yeah.
Where the food is prepared and delivered to your door every morning.
Yeah.
For the whole rest of the day.
Yeah.
You know? And I know a lot of people here are doing 70 hours a week and stuff. And
I get it.
You've got kids, how do you have time to cook and what have you? But like you say, it's very, very different now. It's not a matter of, I don't even think it's a matter of people don't want to do it. I think it's a matter of people don't realise that they can. I think they've been so catered to with everything that...
I've got an example of this. Sitting around with my colleagues, Ogden and Kaywood, and both of those boys, maybe you're even in the zone. I've been tainted, and the word I want to use, or the words, air fryer.
Yeah.
You own an air fryer?
Yeah.
Oh, you got a new one. Okay.
So I remember you getting one to try on the radio.
And I never got another one since.
Well, you gave it me to try, and I didn't like
it. You didn't like it. So that was like that was a beta version, clearly.
Yeah. They were really small.
It didn't work. And I never got it. I never got one. And now the world has gone air fryer crazy, and everyone's cooking everything in the air fryer, but it fits in with what you're talking about. It's time. And it's easy. You put it in the air fryer. You do your thing. You've spiced it. You set the knobs. Way to go. Set the time. It's done. And my buddies, Kaywood and Ogden, they're cooking everything in the air fryer. And they're going, well, don't you want an air fryer? I said, no, I got pots. but I am so
barbecue outside.
I'm barbecuing outside, but I'm investing the time in standing over my food. So yeah, it takes me maybe a little longer. And one might say I'm cooking not as healthy. I don't think so. I think I'm using broth and all that kind of stuff instead of oils necessarily. I do like a little butter though. But I'm doing it old
There's
school.
nothing wrong with butter. It's these oils that are the problem.
Oh,
and butter's, what's wrong with butter? Ghee and stuff like that. Yeah. No problem whatsoever.
So it takes me a little bit more time, but that whole time is the socialization time. Hanging out, having a chat, cutting stuff up, having a little laugh, listening to things. We're kind of living around the food, and away we go. And I kind of go, when people say, are you getting an air fryer? And he's like, I don't know what I'd use it for. Because
yeah, you see, so when you cook for yourself, it's exactly the same as when we've got a car in the garage that's got a problem, and you take a component apart and fix it and put it back together, and the problem's solved. It's a satisfying feeling.
Yeah.
And I think there's a reason that we're hardwired to be satisfied by an achievement like that. So to cook for yourself is, and don't forget, we've come from a heritage, a lineage, whatever you want to call it, evolutionary speaking, where we were supposed to starve for days until we managed to find something slow enough to kill.
Exactly.
And then,
that's why we put it on around the waist.
So, we're supposed to be chewing on raw meat and all this nonsense. And there's a satisfaction that you get from cooking for yourself. And I think there'll be an evolutionary reason for that. And it's probably to make sure you do it again.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't actually get my wife's got two young cousins that are both starting university. Well, they've just started university in the UK, and they both, I believe, taking air fryers.
Yeah,
perfect for a university student, right? At least you're doing a bit of cooking. You can put anything in, like literally anything in it.
Yeah,
great. Like better than going out and getting well, they probably don't exist anymore, but something off the Pound Saver menu in McDonald's or wherever else, and it's just. Yeah. But it's not the same as. I mentioned barbecue. It's not the same as getting some coals hot, make sure it's right temperature, cleaning the grill, putting the meat on it, cooking the meat, actually being involved in the process, because if you don't, you're going to burn it and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. There's a completely different feeling to that than the convenience of even just with an air fryer.
So the other side with the air fryer and where it comes in, where I actually think there's something to be done here, is you'll remember, and I want to circle back actually to social media, because you and I share a lot of social media things.
Yeah.
Some of them, and some of them are just the bizarrest things about vehicles and more. There was, but where I think an air fryer, and someone's got to start thinking about this, where I think it has some utility is the commute. In our case, the people who are doing the 2-hour daily commute back into Sharjah or Quain or Ras Al Khaimah, because from where I live, I see them backed up every day at 5.
Yeah,
and I've gotten in that traffic, and I remember when you were living up the road.
Yeah,
and I've been in that traffic when I had to go to something in Sharjah at 8 o'clock at night, and it still took me to get 18 kilometers from my house. It took me an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah,
and all I kept thinking was, there are people who do this every day. They're hungry and they're grumpy when they get home. And all I kept thinking in that moment was, there's got to be a way to hook up the air fryer in the boot of the car with some insulation around it so it doesn't catch fire. So that by the time you get home, you just simply open up the back, pull out the thing, walk in, and you've got your dinner.
We used to fit 240 volt inverters to Passats. You could get one for a Passat and a bit of a VW accessory. So, yeah, by all means, you can definitely do that.
Wouldn't that be a great idea?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how. I'm not sure how safe it is, because I remember when we moved house recently that the air fryer, you clean the drawer and you can wipe it inside, and it's pretty standard, easy. And when we moved it off the side, when we moved house, where it's obviously breathed and blown out the back, the tiles were just brown.
Right.
So that's going to be nice in the car, isn't it?
Well, so where I was thinking, this is how we click into the social media. I sent you a while ago some guy who had a wrecked car, and he turned it into a little bit of an entertainment system, and he had a keg and all that in the back. And I thought, that's all you got to do is you've just got to insulate, put fireproofing, whatever in that corner, a little bit of venting.
Yeah.
And you got dinner. And I'm thinking all the people. So then there's another industry that gets invented. You've got the creams and all those guys who are dropping stuff off. You've got the air fryer mix ready to go that you drop in so that it's hot when you get home.
You can imagine it, can't you? Sat in the middle lane, 6 lanes of traffic. You get some falafel on the go.
You imagine?
I mean, you just need one of those one of those signs.
No,
Or you change your Bluetooth name. Change your Bluetooth name on your phone or whatever to falafel for sale, 5 dirhams per portion, and then just try and connect to every Bluetooth you can find on your drop down, so people look right. And just falafel everywhere.
There's so much traffic that's standstill. You could make it work.
100%.
And you just have one of those extender poles that you put it in and you just out the windows. Here you go.
Just like it's like dynamic tailgating.
That's it.
Yeah. Just every now and again you have to creep forward a few meters, but it's fine. We've got it. It's no problem.
You don't have baby on board. You have hot food on board.
You just drone it, don't you?
Well, they're even better.
You get a little drone.
Yeah.
How heavy is a falafel or a burrito, whatever you put in the nachos? How heavy is that?
Oh, I saw a nacho one.
You see that? For me, there's two things to use an air fryer for. One is if you are cooking something that's going to absolutely stink if you fry it on a pan, because it doesn't smell as bad.
Yeah.
And two, nachos.
Yeah.
I don't even like nachos really, but nachos. It just looks so easy to make.
Yeah, I love
kids
nachos.
like them. So
the gooier the better. That's why I always have issues with. I mean, I don't have issues. I just always wonder people who eat them in the movie theater because it's dark. You got to leave
at the cinema.
You got to leave wearing them.
Why do you have to eat at the cinema? I don't get it. They should ban it. Ban food at the cinema.
I'm with you. When I go to the cinema, I always get popcorn. I have the popcorn done before the film starts.
Yeah,
it is a rapid eat.
Yeah,
because I don't want to be distracted, but I want the popcorn.
Yeah.
So I'm like, my wife's looking at me. I'm just like shoveling it in.
Yeah. See, I've got a problem with popcorn. I cannot get through a portion of popcorn without choking at some point on a husk or whatever it is, or breaking a tooth on an unpopped kernel.
No, my problem with popcorn in the movie theater is I can't stand the sound of the last little bit where someone's scratching.
Yeah.
It sounds to me like a rat.
And then they'll go to finish off the Coke or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't pay any attention to the film. It's just wired on sugar. Yeah. No, the air fryers, though, seriously, there's also the issue with the Teflon.
Oh, see, I have come of age. I'm an old man now.
Skillets and
I only so thankfully over the last 20 odd years we've had the time to save a little bit of money for our crockery and our cookery stuff. So I'm talking colonial British here.
Nice.
And we had the opportunity to start buying cast iron skillets and things, Staub products. And now I'm firmly of the belief that the aluminum industry has duped people into believing you have to cook with aluminum or Teflon. When I'm using these cast iron style pans, they cook at the lowest temperature on my gas stove. I've got this one high-end 2-inch walled skillet that cooks at the lowest temperature. Nothing ever sticks to it. It's not Teflon, it's cast iron.
Yeah.
And it cleans like a dream and it looks nice. Whereas if I was using my aluminum pans, stuff would be sticking. It would be all over the place. I'm going, it's not that much more expensive. And in the long run, if I get a Teflon pot, I have to replace it every few years. Yeah. Teflon comes off, you get, poisoned, whatever.
Yeah. But they say even when it's not damaged, though, it's leaching, isn't it? It's leaching chemicals out. Yeah. And I think the sort of advice with an air fryer is if it's not a stainless steel and it's a Teflon one, that you shouldn't overload it. It's the overloading of it, which obviously if someone's doing chicken nuggets and chips for the kids because they've not got no time.
Yeah, and I get
just
it.
Loading it all in there, and it's
look, I get it. Our friends who are driving, and I've been there, and I've been when you get home and you've got two hungry kids who are going up the wall, and you've been at work all day, and you've got a bad day. Your boss has been a real, what's the word we use?
English again, proper English again.
Can you imagine? It's like I've been hanging out with Colin.
Wow.
Who I haven't.
He says that word a lot.
He does. That's his favorite word. I wish I could say it like him, but I got to listen back to some of the podcasts to get the twang.
That's a good English word. I like it.
Is that bad for radio?
In England, yeah. Probably, but we're not in England, are we? It's not also. This is also, this is also not radio. So the fact of the matter is,
it's a podcast.
You're a master of the edit.
No, I usually leave all that stuff in. I think it's the natural. It's the feel.
You want the complaints? It's like any interaction is good interaction. Please complain. At least we know someone's listening. If someone complains, we know we've got a listener.
That used to happen on the radio. That was, and it was annoying on the radio too, though. Because people don't realize when you're listening to a radio program, at least here, you gotta fire through on the comments, which do if you're on YouTube. If the James Casts on YouTube is how you find this.
Yeah.
If you're listening on Podaholics or the James Casts, Google, you'll find us. And of course, then online, PowerWorks is posting up pieces and clips in here, and then we're both doing that. Comment. At least this is, you put down the comments. It's not instantaneous, unfortunately, because we're not doing it live. But the radio was always live, and people would SMS through, not realizing that the comments go directly to the person talking live.
Yeah.
And nothing worse. This is the worst show I've ever listened to. Not the worst thing.
We never got that one.
I got that on a couple times when I was doing some call-ins. Never talking cars do we get that, but I get that a couple times. And on the ad break, I call them back because of course it comes up with the mobile number it's coming from. So I'd call them back. So what's the problem?
Justify yourself to me.
How can I do better? It would be like, I was like, you really called.
Justify your opinion.
Yeah, justify.
Yeah. Look, at the end of the day, this has never been the worst show anyone's listened to. I listened to worse shows than this, and I choose to listen to it because sometimes, honestly, I've listened to podcasts before where I've been like recommended to it, or it's sort of followed on a guest on a podcast that I listened to who's gone somewhere else. And, they were interesting, and then you listen to it, and they're saying the same stuff, and everyone's on a book tour or they've got a stand-up gig, and it's like, I thought you might have another opinion on something. And then like the adverts that they do, the spots for like advertisements, and they're better than the actual content. You know what I mean? Like manscaping adverts and all the...
Oh, how can we get in on a manscaping
all the
advert?
innuendo that goes with it. You know what I mean? But
someone's getting sponsored for manscaping?
Loads of people.
Oh, man.
I mean, I don't know.
Garage is the right place. We already crossed it with Jenna with Jock Itch. Like, we're...
Dr. Jen is probably a better one to have the manscaping advert for the hygiene reasons. But I mean, we've got some guys out there that no, myself included. Manscaping's overdue. But you get sponsored by anything, James, and you know what? It's shameless now as well. The things that people will just say, "Oh yeah, it's the best thing ever." What is? You don't use that. There's one that I listen to. This is an American company, and it sounds pretty cool, and they should probably bring it here. So if it does happen, let's just have it said that I said it first. A company called Box of Awesome, right?
Box of Awesome.
Yeah, and so what they do is they support little. I think they're American again, so they call them mom and pop shops. So just small kitchen table businesses,
small business that
people
might just
make stuff.
Yeah,
knives and
placemats,
crockeries and placemats, toasters,
hairbands,
anything. Any sort of little crafty things that people make, and you pay a subscription to it, and every month you get a box. You don't know what's going to be in it. You can tell them what your interests are, so you get a loose.
Yeah,
but you tell them what's in it. But like that as an idea is great, but if you put my interests are knives, I also like war memorabilia and all this, and you're just going to get boxes full of just handcrafted knives all the time from anywhere in the country, so you can't even buy them from there anyway. Who's getting whatever we just
I want one of those Box of Awesomes of just Canadian snack foods like hickory sticks, which and they're just kind of like these little chip things that have I don't even know if they have a hickory flavor. I'm not even sure what the flavor is, but they call them hickory sticks. They're great. Ketchup chips, not so bad. If you like ketchup flavored stuff.
Yeah, you like that sort of stuff, yeah. I mean, you've also...
I don't even eat that junk, so I just want to have the junk to give away.
Yeah.
I'm like a pusher on other people. Oh yeah, here you go. Have some of this.
What's the thing like that you... Every time you go back to Canada, you would have, but you can't get it here no matter what you do.
Smoked meat sandwich.
Smoked meat sandwich, right?
Which is kind of like a pastrami, but not.
That was when I went to New York, and I remember walking into a deli, and it was like an episode of Man vs. Food. But everybody's the man versus the food. Like like they're getting sandwiches, and and I'm like, you can have bread and butter. That's like a massive part of the sandwich. And it's just like pastrami, beef, more pastrami,
cheese,
half a chicken, some brisket.
Pressed it, make it hot.
Yeah. Like, what are you doing?
My three top things. Well, first of all, a smoked meat sandwich, and full fat, which is the connoisseur level. So you're eating the most unhealthy version, but it's the full taste version as well. So one of those. Second, we'll always get bagels. Preferably, if we're in Montreal, then they're Fairmont bagels.
Right.
No ifs, ands, or buts. If there are other bagels, it's like it's a hard eat, so don't do it. And that's just purely arrogance. It's like there's a story with my mother-in-law. She's not a Fairmont bagel fan. She's a St. V. Ader bagel fan. There is a two bagel companies, a couple streets over, that have rival products.
Right.
And my mother-in-law will not do Fairmont bagels. She'll only do St. V. Ader bagels. My boys, of course, have been totally indoctrinated by myself and my wife, so they only do Fairmont bagels. And the mother-in-law, she's driving by the Fairmont bagel, and she says, "Oh, do you want to get some bagels?" My boy says, "Yeah, absolutely." And she goes, "Well," he goes, "Well, just turn here." And she goes, "Oh, no, we're going to St. V. Ader." And he goes, "Oh, I'll pass."
Yeah, they're not. That's not a bagel. Talking about, might as well have a middle in it.
And then if we're in Montreal, the third thing, the number 3, is an orange julep, which is kind of like an orange Julius, but it's not. It is an orange julep drink, but it's an orange drink that's who knows what else is in it, that goes through some whipping thing that comes out of the roof of the place, and it's creamy and orangey, and you just cannot get enough of it. And you can buy it by the jug, and it exists in a place called the Orange Julep, which is a giant 2-story, maybe 3-story orange in a parking lot.
Why have I not seen Leroy and Leroy there?
No, because they're in Moose Jaw, which is a whole other part of the world.
They toured around.
Yeah, I don't know if they've been to Montreal. I mean, I have to talk.
Canada's too big, isn't it? I think this is what we're getting to. Canada's too big.
It's too big. Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah,
it's a huge problem.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't.
What about you? When you get home, what are your things? What's your go-to when you go home?
Do you know what? It used to be that I missed, obviously, pork products.
Yeah. Okay.
So like every shop, including petrol station, newsagent, every shop you could get a bacon sandwich of some description in the UK. Right. But and also things like a Sunday roast where you'd have like Yorkshire pudding, but everywhere does that here now.
Yeah.
And I'm all right with not eating pork every day anymore.
Yeah.
So it's not really miss anything. And to be honest, my palate is about as sophisticated as chicken and rice every day for me, and I'm not bothered. It's like, I really don't
care. Because you're getting so fit. You're.
Well, no, it's not. I just don't have any. I won't like seafood. No.
Okay.
No, thank you. Not even the smell of it. No.
See, this is a problem. I grew up and we were pretty frugal. My parents were pretty frugal, and so a lot of semi-processed food were involved in our diet. And I just those Captain Highliner fish sticks that you see in the frozen section that are I don't really ever buy them, but I love them. It's like if someone said, "Hey, we're just gonna have frozen fish fillets that are breaded, and you just throw them in the oven and they're coming out of the freezer thing." I'd like, we got tartar sauce, because I love those things. And if we don't have tartar, I'll make my own, because I could eat a whole box. I'd love the taste of that. The fish sticks, even the cheapest ones that, five dirhams get you 400
They the
fish
ones
sticks.
that are like red and white.
No, not those little things. But in the frozen section, you're going to get your breaded haddock or something. Right, and then the fish sticks are some mystery fish, and they're just like cheese slices breaded. Who knows what they are? And they have a very particular taste, which might not be good, but it's very particular, and I can't get enough of them.
Particularly tastes like anything just the sea.
And they're so affordable, because you can buy like 2 dozen for less than it costs you to take a subway somewhere, or the tube. So it's I don't have any kind of taste development, if you want to call it that. Right. I don't. There's nothing. Just the most blandest, boring. I don't even put sauce on stuff. Yeah. Really?
Putting sauce on it, you probably need to choose something else to eat, because you don't like the taste of it. That's why you're drowning it in sauce. For years couldn't go to McDonald's. For years, because they always mess my burger up.
Because you guys ate everything off it?
Yeah. I want a cheeseburger, so cheese in the burger's fine.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah,
I like the filet of fish, though. I love the filet of fish, too.
Yeah.
But no, I want my burger full of stuff.
No.
Just fill it up. I want it dripping down my hand. I want to have to lick my elbow.
No.
No. I want to jump back to some of the social media because we look at different social medias for car stuff. And you're looking at a number of different sites on Insta. I'm looking at some different sites.
Let's have it right. It gets pushed upon us by the algorithm. There's no one searching this crap out.
I know. It's the one you sent me the other day.
Oh, no.
This is the one where the whole front of the engine's off and the mechanic is looking in disbelief with a few expletives about the fact that the oil pump is driven by a belt.
The submerged wet oil pump is driven.
How is that possible?
By a belt, a rubber Kevlar belt that's sat with oil going all over it, and the pickup's just full of broken oil, the belt pieces. What?
I know.
Ridiculous.
What kind of vehicle is this?
I've thrown belts away when doing jobs where we've put a new belt on something and I've got oil on it because something's leaked or it's been sat there and I've picked it up with oily hands and it's been no good. Now, obviously, I'm sure. Saying that, I don't know. Are we sure? But you would expect that they've said, "Oh, this rubber's okay with oil,"
or not.
Didn't look like it on that video, did it?
No. I got another one that was just blew my mind, and suddenly I'm getting all sorts of them of how people are hauling stuff. And there was the guy with no tire because I guess his tire flat,
genius,
and he's got a shop dolly underneath the tire. He's just put it down and he's driving with it.
Yeah, like it was normal. Not even like with his face looking out the window as though he's making a joke. This is like, well, I've got to get to where I've got to get to.
I've got to get to it, and this will work.
Where did he get the dolly from?
I don't know.
Where did he find a dolly but not a tire?
That's what... I'm just thinking, one police officer sees you, you're done for. Like, they're going to take your car. They're going to put you in jail for just being, you shouldn't be driving.
It's reckless, I think, is probably the word you'd use. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, whoever made those dollies got some.
That's a good advertisement.
250, 300 kilos of weight on it.
Well, I was wondering, and it's moving on the road, and it's good for braking. I want one of those.
Oh, it's no good for braking. If he slams on the brakes, he's just spinning.
Speaking of road safety, I saw one yesterday. Road safety, a truck, and hats off to the RTA because the Road Transportation Authority. They do the job, and they usually catch all these guys. But we need to have more on the road because this guy, big semi-trailer, and he's got plywood planks right back by the cab, lying on the bed of this semi-trailer, 18-wheeler. And I see them bouncing around, and I'm coming up behind it in the car, and I'm with the wife, and I go, those things are tied down because they're bouncing. And all I'm thinking is he hits the brakes, a little bit of wind, all at the same time. They're all flying out of the back.
Yep.
And as I get close, they're not tied down. They're floating. They're just waiting for mayhem to happen. I thought, this is so dangerous.
Yeah. We get the guys next door to us. They get deliveries of MDF sheet and plywood sheet, and it's never tied down. Just stacked on top and on the back of a wagon.
I always get worried. I don't want to be anywhere near one of those things. Downwind, upwind. If it goes around a corner, they fall. You just never know.
No.
Right circumstances all come together.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. Well, you see it all the time, right? DJ sent me a picture the other night where he'd been on, not himself, but he'd been sent from a Facebook community group from where he lives, a picture of a car on its side on a roundabout in his community. Well, that's in the community, so the max speed is 40.
How's that possible?
And even if there's no speed limit signs, which was, by the way, the excuse, I didn't know the speed limit. Well, you're inside the community.
Everyone knows 40 kilometers an hour.
And it's on its side on the top of a roundabout.
Yeah.
How?
How fast was he going?
Well, even still, how?
Yeah, how does that happen?
So,
it's a car. How does that happen?
It is a bit scary. The big, heavy duty stuff, though, those trucks, I mean, you'll see them overloaded, and you'll see the tires touching on the back axle where they've not overinflated them with the extra load, and the tires are compressing so that left and right are touching each other, and you just think they've got to be over 100 degrees.
Yeah,
over 100 degrees just from friction of the road surface in the summer as well. And it's like, and they're touching each other with that load on them. They're probably 5 years old, and there's no wonder you're dodging blown out tires all the time. Genuinely. And I don't know what the answer is to it, because if you take them all off the road, the place stops.
That's the problem. With the rail service slowly coming online, we're going to have more freight. I think a lot of these trucks are going to be goners. And sometimes I wonder if that's not why some of the more urgent things aren't being done to these vehicles, because the people who own them know that, we're going to lose a third of our fleet.
Yeah, but it's been like that since I've been here 12 years ago when I got here.
And it's got better. It's gotten better.
Yeah.
It used to be worse.
Yeah. When I first got here 12 years ago, it was like, what? How's that allowed?
Some of the tire safety still is really bad. I mean, and again, they're just waiting for.
The problem is the police and the RTA do a very good job at trying to enforce rules.
Yeah.
But I know that when a trailer or a cab or both are due for registration test, the tires, if they have expired or gone past the allowed age limit, there are people that will just rent out new tires, or they'll swap new tires off of their friend's trailer to put their trailer through the test, and then they'll swap them back again afterwards.
Yeah, for sure.
I know that happens. You see it happen all the time.
Yeah.
And
what can you do?
What do you do with that?
Yeah.
What do you do with that?
Well, that's when you just have to have the patrols that are going to the truck stops and just walking around, and that's again manpower.
If you blow a truck trailer tire out on the road, the amount of steel in it and the rigidity of the tread, especially when it comes off of the tire, some of them will stand on the road a foot and a half proud of the floor of the road. They'll just stand there in the shape of a semicircle where they've just torn off and fell. You're talking about thousands and thousands and thousands of dirhams of damage to any car that hits that. Multiple cars will hit it, but also the risk of they swerve to avoid it, or they lose control because they hit it and it damages their drive belt, or it damages their tires, or it punctures their radiator, then they have an accident.
So that's what we forget about, all of the things that are underneath your car that aren't protected. There's a lot of hoses, and those things are really sharp. And you almost always see it where there's been a big blowout. You almost always see one or two cars just past it, and the person walking around inspecting because something's now not right with their car.
Fair play to the police. I remember going down on the Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Road, 311, and I remember realizing I needed to go somewhere else, so turning around at the next available cloverleaf, coming back, and there being a blown out tyre, avoiding it, bit of a slowdown in traffic, so noticeable. Went to where I was going, 45 minutes, an hour later, come back, and it's not there.
No, they're fast. They're fast.
You never see it either. It's like Batman. They've got Batman fixing the blown out tyres on the road.
They're there.
And then, obviously, you then got the poor guys in the pickup trucks that go out to change these tyres at the side of the road. Traffic screaming past them.
Yeah.
And they're just sat there at the side of the road. And they're like, that is a job that's up there. There was a TV program in the UK called, I think it was called Britain's Worst Jobs or something, where they used to document what it was like to be a sewerage worker, or a bin man, as we call it, and they document all these different things. That's one. I mean, what a job.
Yeah.
July, 50 plus degrees on the baking tarmac under a 50-ton load, trying to change a wheel.
Forget the wheel. I saw one this morning. The guy is lying on the shoulder, and he's got boxes of parts for the diesel engine that he's working on. And I mean, I'm not slowing down slow enough to actually make out what the parts are, but there were multiple boxes, and he's covered in oil, and there's a lot of tools. And I'm thinking, this is serious repair he's doing. Side of the road.
You see them with bearings collapsed and stuff. I've seen that. You see it all the time. The bearing collapse, the wheel will just fall off, the hub comes off, everything's just a complete wreck. When I lived out in Rack,
you saw everything.
You sort of got past Sharjah and you got into Ajman and Al Quain.
Where everyone, as soon as you get just past the Dubai border, it becomes a free-for-all.
Yeah. Totally different.
I don't understand.
Yeah, once you get past Sharjah, Ajman and Al Quain are so small relative population to, the roads are a lot quieter.
Yeah.
So there's you'll see a truck there with a blown bearing and a wheel missing for 3, 4, 5 days. The whole working week, you go past it, it's still there.
Yeah.
Mrs. Ring, where are you? I'm just going past the truck.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. See you in 20 minutes. Oh, you know what I mean? Like it was a landmark at some point.
Yeah.
But I mean, I remember when I was at my days at AAA, I remember we used to do a lot of like specialized recovery stuff. And Frank, who used to run the company.
Is Frank still here in country?
No, he's not.
Oh,
no.
okay. Mm-hmm.
But he was always, if he saw anything broken down, heavy duty on the road or anything like that, and that was his background as well.
Right.
He did tires for trucks, so his background was that. So he obviously had a bit of an affinity towards that. But if you saw one on the road, a bus, an RTA bus, even anything, he'd call the recovery guy and say, "Get to this location now," and he'd tell them where it was, and they'd go, because we just get them off the side of the road.
Yeah.
Because it's so dangerous to work on them at the side of the road, but sometimes there's no opportunity to get them off the road because no one has the ability to do that.
Exactly.
The police have some really, really special recovery vehicles.
When you see them, they are, and they're brand new.
Yeah, and they're brand new because they don't often get used. Because these guys turn up with the pickups and get them fixed.
Yeah.
And to mobilize a team and get them out there and risk assessments and everything else, it just doesn't happen quick enough. But it's just, I would say, almost impossible to police that unless they're going to say, we are going to stop every single truck, or we're going to put them on. You've got to make it uneconomical for them to be renting tires to change.
Right, which is hard.
We're going to test them every 3 months or 6 months. But then these guys aren't earning massive amounts of money.
No.
A lot of them are self-employed. They've got to pay for the truck. They're renting the truck on a rent to buy or even just rent only. If they've then got to pay a fee for registration every 3 to 6 months, will they do it?
They won't.
And this is the problem. So it's a balancing act. I think they do the best that they
absolutely.
They
there's no question.
It's very, very hard to see how. And like you said, it's a no-brainer with the Etihad rail now, right? Why would you use a truck when you can use the train?
So you're going to have your depots and then middle parts and then trunk lines and you drop stuff off. So I think it's another 10 years. By the even less than that, but by the time we start running separate lines down through each of the Emirates into all of the ports, it's gonna be, I think the lot's gonna change.
Well, the Jebel Ali one is almost on.
Yeah,
because I drive past that and it's like the bridges are in. That's the hard bit, putting the bridges over the road.
I don't know if there's one going into Al Hamraya or into Sharjah.
Probably there must be.
They've got to, haven't they? It's gonna be wild. Yeah. I mean, that's gonna just change everything. Yeah. But and also you could have trucks now working on a much shorter distance.
Yeah,
which could be interesting.
Which, like the trackless tram that they've got now in Abu Dhabi that started this week.
Oh, I heard about that. No, I saw
the video. It's like they've just snuck in autonomous driving without telling anyone. Which is all it is. Because we've got the tram in Dubai on the Marina and JBR, but it's on tracks. And rightly or wrongly, maybe it's just a perception on my part, but that seems a lot more controllable on tracks than a one with no tracks. Right?
It can only go certain places.
So effectively, this tram is an autonomous car.
All right.
Of course it is. It's an autonomous. Yeah. It's not manned.
Yeah.
There's a control room, but it's not like someone sat there with a PlayStation control pad moving it. It's not manned, and it's on the road, on the normal asphalt tarmac road with no driver on it, just carrying people around.
It's crazy.
Not going fast, but it's autonomous driving.
Yeah.
And it's happening. That's how it is. And they've had Masdar City in Abu Dhabi for
they've had that
like
forever.
15, 20 years. That's been
as long as I can remember, that's been there. So that's about 15.
And they've got the autonomous. But I can even remember when I first found out about that, they used to follow actual physical lines on the floor.
Right.
There's an optical identification, wasn't it? But this isn't. This is cool. It's just going around I think they call it rapid mass transit or something. It's something like that. I remember seeing it on the side on the video that I saw. And hey, if you can do that, well, you don't need a big, ugly, dangerous diesel truck with a driver that's a little bit tired because, he's having to work double shift now because he's not getting the amount of work because the train's taken off of it.
The one that gets me with the truck drivers is you're in the slow lane on the highway and the guy's beeping his horn at you to get out of his way.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, I'm in the slow lane.
Yeah, and you're supposed to be limited.
Yeah.
So why are you going faster than his limit?
I'm in the slow lane doing like 85, 90 because it's busy and he's behind me. And I have got no window. So when he lays on the horn, like I now have to go change my underwear because like I'm freaking out at what's happening. pray a tire doesn't blow, because that sound just,
Yeah.
you got to get on a heart monitor after,
Yeah.
because you think you've died. So
Yeah. But no, I think those guys are sort of an important point to point out here, is that those guys have a standard of living that they need to maintain. And we're saying men because it is men. It's not just dominated by men. It's only men do that.
I don't see any women doing that.
I've never seen it, and I'm not sure that it's because it's allowed or not. But I'm saying there aren't any. So,
and the other side with the truck, and we'll carry on, but is if I go by the fruit and veg market, and so a lot of them are stationed there to do some. They live in the trucks.
Yeah.
So they've got a big box on the side that's got all their food and their cooking stuff, and the guy whips out his lawn. I see them the other afternoon. The guys are sitting there. They're having coffee. They're on their lawn chairs, waiting for their next assignment.
Yeah.
And I'm just going, wow. All I'm thinking is, where are they showering? Where are they going to the washroom?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a lot of these guys will, like you say, sleep in the truck because they get a call. They need to go.
Yeah.
So, and if the train, not if, but when the train removes a lot of that Dubai to Ras Al Khaimah stuff, then they've then got to pick up more of the short stuff.
Yeah.
It's not that economical to run a truck like that in a short distance. They're going to have to do 4 or 5 times the amount of drops that they would have done if they were doing a long distance one. They're going to be spread throughout the day. They're going to be doing 20 hours a day. They're going to be tired.
Yeah.
It's going to be a genuine problem, that. And I think the solution is this, unfortunately, this autonomous tram in Abu Dhabi. I think you start loading those up from ports, and that's it.
Well, look, the other side, COP28, we're talking environment, we're talking dirty diesel. You see some pretty new diesel vehicles being imported here from Europe that they've been, pretty much all I can figure is they're not up to code with the diesel from the country they're coming from, but they're looking pretty brand new to me. They're only a few years old, and they're here. Well, we've got some diesel vehicles here that who knows what gen of diesel they're using. They're not even, they're using the oldest, dirtiest diesel they can get, because that's that's what
you see it on some of the buses and coaches that drive around, not the RTA ones, but some of the the privately owned buses, and they'll say on the back Euro 2, Euro 3.
Yeah, I've seen that. When we're at Euro 9 or Euro
6
8 now.
or 7 or something.
I think 8.
Like that.
I think 8
maybe
now. Maybe it's 6 or 8.
Like,
because I see it on the back of the RTA buses.
So, Euro 2, Euro 3. I mean, it's just...
And that's where I think a lot of the trucks are coming from. They're only Euro 4 or Euro 5.
At best.
And so they're getting booted out of wherever they are in Sweden.
Yeah.
And shipped here.
Yeah.
Which, at least they're better than the Euro 2. but those are here too.
Yeah.
It's like, well, hold on, we got to get rid of these things.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to... I mean, I forget the guy's name, somebody Altman, but he just did a Joe Rogan podcast. He's the guy who started OpenAI.
Sam Altman.
So he was saying that, I mean, Joe Rogan basically opened and said, "What have you done?"
Yeah.
What have you done? And he was like, well, and he said that they all, when they first started working on it 10, 15 years ago, seriously working on it, that they thought that the first thing that would go would be long haul freight.
Yeah.
He said the first jobs that would be affected by it would be long haul lorry drivers, long distance lorry drivers. And just from us talking now, you can see why that will happen, because they're such an unhealthy job for the individual for a start, but it's so unhealthy for everything else. It's not an efficient way to do stuff. And there'll be transport companies all over the world really genuinely worried about this. And you can't have, I mean, that's a massive vacuum in the economy for jobs and
huge.
And
globally.
Even making these trucks.
Yeah. I mean, Volvo's been showing off their electric vehicles for years. And I mean, we're just starting to see the cars. But the long distance trucks that are all electric?
The problem with this electrification is that you see that there are a lot of, because of the way taxes and things in different states in America, there are some states in America where they're quite sparsely populated.
Yeah.
But people will put companies there because they get better tax laws, yeah? And I remember, I'm going to have to look this up and I'll send it you, but there was a congressional hearing, and it was basically talking about electrification of freight liners.
Okay.
And a company with 300 trucks required, I think they said, quadruple the town that they were in. They required a quadruple of the whole power draw just to charge them.
Yeah.
So whatever current supply they have to that town, they needed to quadruple it just to charge one company's trucks.
Okay, see, that's a problem.
Massive problem. Massive problem. Yeah. So we'll say it again. Shell, BP, Exxon, Total, everybody else, just get on with figuring out how to make hydrogen and make yourselves as rich as you are already, and forget it.
On another note, and we're getting close. We're getting close to the end of our podcast. But on another note, came in to the shop this morning, was doing some work on our podcast, and DJ says, "Oh, did you see the one of 120 vehicles in the world that we got in the shop today?"
Yeah, the 722. Yeah,
it's beautiful.
Aged, though, isn't it?
It is.
It's
yeah,
aged.
Yeah,
and it's the most unsafe vehicle in the world to work on.
Really,
every surface on it is red hot. They've got the fins on the side.
Yeah.
That are metal. They get red hot from the engine because they're there to get the hot air out of the engine, but they are made out of metal, so they absorb all the heat.
Yeah.
So we leant over the engine yesterday. I burnt my knee twice, and everything else you touch is hot. It's just, and then the bonnet lifts up forward and then folds from the back.
Right.
So the hinge is on the front, but it has to come up and forwards first.
Yeah.
But there's two handles for it. They're metal. They're red hot.
And you need two people. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, ideally, you need two people. Yeah. You've been stupid if you do it with one. But they're red hot. They burn your hands.
They weren't thinking about any of that.
No. But special.
Yeah.
Very special. Yeah. Yeah. Very special. I mean, it only came in. The customer couldn't get in it. The batteries were totally dead. Hasn't been used for a few weeks. And couldn't get in it, so we got into it, and then tested the batteries, tried to recharge them, they weren't having it, so we got to put two batteries on it. And
are they just taking normal batteries?
No,
of course,
no. Mercedes haven't done normal batteries for about 30 years.
So I complain when I have to spend 450 dirhams on a battery.
No, different gravy. You're talking a couple of K on this.
No. Each battery?
No, for the two.
It's still $1,000 for. Oh man, I see. That's why I wouldn't own that vehicle. Yeah. I mean, it looks good though.
Well, and also the fact that it's about 600,000 dirhams just sat there, or 100% appreciating. Definitely appreciating. There's no loss of value. If you buy that car today, you would never really lose money on it. And it was like that was one of those cars born out of that dizzying late 90s, early 2000s attitude that brought cars in the early and mid 2000s like that, and the Veyron and the even sensible cars like Tuaregs and Phaetons that had W12s in. The attitude that everybody had then of like, big. And
we might need some. Yeah, we need to look good, but we also might need to move.
Yeah. But for these things,
it's nice to get one of those. It's nice to get those vehicles in the shop. It's the bread and butter always. And you love cars. But to get something special like that once in a while.
Yeah. I mean, the good thing about those kind of cars is that anyone that owns that kind of car, it's not their only car. It's typically their toy, and if they've got one, they've probably got two or three. In the case of this individual, that's the case. But they've got another car that's the bread and butter, so they'll bring the Range Rover or the Terramont or the Touareg or the whatever in. We'll get that for their stuff, and then every now and again they get a headache with something like this, and it's nice to be trusted with it, really. That's the big thing. Like we had an Aston Martin Vantage S that was in. It's still in. It's outside. Going to get collected today. That had an oil leak on the back, and you don't even want to know what people were asking for from the approved repairer to do the repair on it. Time-wise, can't get parts. And they're tied up by standards and supply. I get it.
Yeah.
But not to say we don't have standards, but we don't have the same standards, and we have the ability to, if a hose is broken, we can repair it. We don't have to replace it, especially when it's 45 days to get a new one, and 45 days sometimes means 90 with these guys. So, the car comes in on a Monday and is going back today because we've managed to get to a solution that everybody's happy with and we can give warranty with, rather than keep the car off the road. And it's again, these kind of cars, although they aren't always first cars, they're usually second cars. They don't like being like that. They have to be run and driven. The tyres are so thin and profiled that they get flat spots really easily. they're handmade, so they're not exactly the most refined things. There's always a bit of an error with something where there's there's a drain on the battery or something will fail. So they need to be used all the time. And when they're not used, when they're off the road for 6-7 weeks at a time, our friend just collected his. He's got a soft top V12. He went and picked his up, not from us, and that had been off the road 7 weeks for a coolant expansion tank.
Wow.
7 weeks.
That's a long time. That's a really long time.
7 weeks.
Yeah, and
for an expansion tank.
Yeah,
you're not having that with a Wrangler.
Yeah,
yeah. And again, back to my AAA days when we started to get the older Land Rovers that had sort of kind of been forgotten about by the parts supply over here. We used to the amount of coolant tanks and washer tanks that we used to fabricate out of aluminium. For that reason, well, okay, we can fabricate you one. It'll take us a couple of days, but it'll be done. You'll be back on the road, or we can wait 40 days to get one.
I'll take an aluminum
You'll pay
tank
the
any
same
day.
money anyway.
Yeah, I'll take an aluminum tank over the plastic any day.
Yeah. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's always good to get the interesting stuff in, but typically, if it's with us, not to say that we don't get a lot, because we do, but usually it's because the place it's supposed to go to, quote unquote, either can't get it in quick enough or can't supply the parts.
Yeah.
You think about the cost of a part for an Aston Martin to keep that on the shelf, because they're paid for. Once they've ordered it, they've paid for it. So they're not going to keep anything on the shelf, are they?
No.
Because what do you do? Where do you start?
Yeah, for sure. On that note, Glenn, we gotta rack things up again for another podcast. Thank you very much, Glenn Power, PowerWorks Garage. We'll do it all again really, really soon. And as we keep saying, reach out to us in the comments, like us, let us know what you're thinking.
Abuse us.
Sure, why not?
I won't report any abuse. We'll just get involved in some back and forth.
Get involved. Share. Let us know what you think. You got questions you want to fire in to the podcast, please do, because we do this for you. And we just love to talk about cars. So the PowerWorks Podcast with Glenn Power from PowerWorks Garage. That's him. I'm James Pikeway. We'll talk to you again really soon.